Hello everybody and welcome back to part 2 of the Selkie interview with Alicia Lavoie. Hi there Alicia.
Hi.
Thanks to everyone that watched the first Selkie interview, and if you have important, well, not really important, but fairly important, to watch that one first to get a good background on what a Selkie is, because today we're going to look at a really deeper aspect of the Selkie story. But Alicia, if you would like to just very, very briefly, introduce yourself again and maybe say in a few words what a Selkie is for those who haven't watched the first video.
My name is Alicia, and I grew up with the myths of the Selkies. My maternal grandmother told me the stories from a young age. In short, a Selkie is a mythological creature. Their myths are found primarily in Irish, Scottish, and Faroese folklore, but they're very common in the Orkney Isles, which is an island chain in northern Scotland. Selkie is Orcadian dialect for seal. Usually they are depicted as gorgeous creatures. On land they're human with dark hair, dark eyes, and very pale skin, male and female alike, and their myths are they touch you deeply because they have a tendency of really wanting you to go deep within yourself, your own internal ocean, so to speak. That's the best way of describing a Selkie.
That's beautiful, a really beautiful way of describing Selkie. So thank you, and if please do check out the first video we've done if you haven't seen it to find out much more about the Selkie and the Selkie myth. Because today we're going a bit more personal, a bit deeper. We spoke last time a lot about the myths and the stories and the lessons and the messages of a Selkie, but today we're going to bring it really to now, aren't we, and look at how you can integrate your wild Selkie self with your human 21st century self. How has this worked for you, Alicia, and how would you describe integration? People are going, excuse me, what are you talking about, integrating your Selkie self? How would you describe how to do that, really, in a nutshell? I know it's a massive question.
Well, integration, basically, in a nutshell, is taking all parts of yourself and becoming whole, unifying every aspect of yourself. When we talked in the last video, we spoke of the seal skin being inherent to the seal being in whole. If they have that seal skin missing, or if they are denying an aspect of themselves, they're living a half life, and they are very connected to nature. So integration is realizing your whole self, the light and the dark. And when I say light and dark, I don't mean good and evil. There are certain aspects of ourselves that need to come into the light and also be in the dark, but fully integrating who you are. And for me, this is going to be dispersed throughout the video, but that's the best way of describing what integration is.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. So when did you start integrate, or when did you realize that this was something that was really special and important to you, to acknowledge that wild Selkie sea-dwelling self and to integrate it into your life?
Like I said, I grew up with the stories, and I kept hearing my grandmother say, just remember, my little wild Selkie, you can change the story. I really didn't know the meaning of that gift, so to speak. And when I say gift, we're not talking about something you wrap in a shiny bow. It is something that really pushes you beyond your comfort zone just enough for you to integrate fully and be yourself. And there are painful aspects to that. And when I say pain, I don't mean paper cut. I mean life has a way of throwing challenges at us, and those challenges are gifts in and of themselves. So I would have to say the one thing that came through for me when I really started integrating was after my it was after my ex's car accident in 2007. I would say a few months after. It was also my realization working with the wild feminine as well. I experienced a very, very, very low point for me where everything just finally came to a head, and I realized that there were certain things I needed to work through on a healing journey first off, and also I needed to really pick up my spirit, pick up my seal skin, piece it back together again, so I could fully walk my path. And this is something that doesn't happen overnight. It is not something that happens in a year's time. It is a lifelong journey. And we live in a society that has a tendency of saying, okay, we're done. It takes a few quick seconds like a microwave, but it doesn't work that way. Fully being yourself, fully integrating yourself is a full journey. It is something that happens over a lifetime, many lifetimes if you believe even beyond that. So, like I said, it was just one of those days. I remember the sky just being like this bruised color of the greens and the yellows and the browns. And I remember a raven flying, and I remember needing to go to the woods, just my connection to the woods. And while it wasn't the ocean per se, I went to an area that had water, a stream. And I just remember just sinking down, and I just remember crying, just letting everything all out. And I remember hearing my grandmother voice and her words, among other things, but because I did write about this, which I can share at a later date within the notes, because it included my work with a particular goddess figure as well. But I remember my grandmother's voice and her saying, just remember, my little wild Selkie, you can change the story. And that was a very climactic point for me. I was at a very low point, and I just went, I just let it all out, because I knew I had to own myself and walk my journey. And it was very, very painful. I started working slowly and moving through the years, getting myself back on my feet, slowly sharing with my family and my friends what had happened, because they didn't know everything, in fact, until within the last year. And also, as painful as this is to admit to some people as well, I had, during my relationship, gained quite a bit of weight, and I used that as a way to deny myself, as a way to put up a wall from the pain. But I knew that I had to work through it, and as I was working through myself, my inner self, I began losing the weight, and got down to a size and shape that is perfect for my bone structure. I would have to say it's been a year since I've kept it fully off.
Wow. So it's been a physical, emotional, and spirit. You know, it's been all ways, hasn't it? It is the integration. It's every aspect. There's no hiding from certain things, is there? It's not a like, oh, you know, a Selkie, you can go and swim in the ocean and have a, you know, that's done. It's a constant journey, and there's, again, I think with the integration, there is nowhere to hide. And as you say, therefore, it's going to be painful, because it will bring up things for you that you don't want to face. But through facing them, and through having the bravery of facing them, you become more whole. So I think that's, yeah, I think as you said earlier, like there's quite a big culture of, now you are this, now you are that. Here you go, you've had your initiation, off you pop. But the initiation and is really just the beginning, isn't it? Of story.
I would have to say that initiation, the ceremony, the actual act itself, that's the doorway. Yeah. That is the doorway. What you do afterwards, that, I mean, initiation, I would have to say, I do work with the Morgan, and I would have to say, working with her and also in conjunction with the Selkie myth, and I will say that, I know some viewers will say, well, what does the Morgan have to do with the Selkie? In mythology, that I know of, she is not connected to seals. However, my own maternal line and my own connection with the Morgan are personal to me. So she will strip you down to the bone, and you will rebuild yourself up. And it's not something that happens once, twice. It is something that continuously happens over and over again. Yes, it is painful, because you are losing aspects of yourself that are returning to the earth, like a compost, so you can grow more. And it's a continuous cycle over and over again, because what is no longer serving you returns to the earth, so to speak, or returns to the sea, and the sea will give back, or the earth will give back, and you grow more. And it's a cycle that repeats itself over and over again. It's not a continuous circle, because then you'll come back to the same point. But it's a spiral, because you don't exactly return to the same point.
No, exactly, completely. And I totally agree that initiations are, you build up to be ready to be initiated, whether that's a self-initiation, whether that's something you just stepping through, whether it's a life change or whether it's in a group and you become initiated. There was a big preparation for that. But as you say, it is the doorway, and it's the work you do afterwards and the journey you step afterwards and what you're willing to do afterwards, which really is the work. Can I ask a question? So you're saying you're working, I know you work with the Morrigan and other deities, but when you're sort of working in a Selkie manner, is there a specific maybe energy of a Selkie you work with? Is it an image? Is it something you visibly see, or is it more of a kind of a open feeling you have about Selkies? I was wondering how you visualize or connect with the Selkie energy.
Well, what came through for me was always more of a feeling, just the connecting with the ocean, but that changed in 2008, the day after Christmas. I myself was in a car accident, and my car, according to passersby, flipped like 4 to 5 times and landed upside down at the foot of a tree. And what I remember from the dreams after that accident was just starlight, and I heard the seals in the background. I remember walking toward this light in the forest. It was firelight, very faint, and I kept walking and walking and walking, and I came to the threshold of this meadow or clearing, and the fire was in front of an oak tree, a huge oak. And just as I stepped over the threshold, I remember being hit with the images that came through to me were wolves literally devoured every aspect of me. And then my grandmother was holding a seal skin, and they pieced me back together again. So yes, I'm very familiar with dreams like that. So I always see the seal skin, or whenever I am within an environment conducive to working with the seals, I picture myself putting on my seal skin or being aware and connecting with my full being, my full wild self. So,
wow, that's lovely. Yeah, it's lovely visual for people, and obviously quite an intense one as well. And hopefully, not everyone's going to go through such extreme changes. But I know you've walked a path of complete transformation, haven't you? I know you've had a real full-on journey, but that is in essence how you work, and it's sort of been prepared you for how you work as well as a doula, isn't it? All the circumstances and the things you've survived, really, which is quite a miracle.
I'm not going to say I don't regret the path I have walked. Are there easier ways to learn the lessons that I've learned? Yes. Would I go back and say, yes, I want to be in a relationship where I was repeatedly hit, had just completely stripped down emotionally? No, I wouldn't say I would go back and do that. But am I glad I am the person I am today? Yes, I wouldn't be the person I am today without those experiences. So I survived.
Yeah.
And there are triggers that do come through every once in a while. I am far from perfect. Far from it.
We all are. No, if we were perfect, we wouldn't be here. That's the kind of thing I think, and it's just a journey, isn't it, to try and get to a space of being honest and working through the triggers.
Yeah.
With the sorry, you go.
In fact, if I was perfect, I'd run in the other direction screaming, because it would be boring.
Oh yeah. Being human is about having those kind of flaws and brilliant stubbornnesses and bizarre things. So with the Selkie, okay, so to look at the integration, and there's people maybe out there who are going, oh, and I know that the feedback I've had from the last video, there's people that hadn't really heard much about Selkies, there's people that were interested, or some people hadn't heard of them at all. And some people, have been familiar with the myth, but hadn't really thought about it in a personal term. What would be the first step for somebody out there? What would you say? Would your guidance be? If someone was saying, yeah, this is calling to me, like the sea's calling to me, I would love to begin this integration. What would your advice be for the first step for them to take?
The first step is find out whatever you can about the myths, the folklore, and the symbolism of the Selkie. And then that kind of goes into two. immerse yourself in nature in areas where they are known to reside, like the ocean. I know we mentioned in the first video that that's hard for those who are landlocked, but even a body of water that calls to you. You can also create salt water in your bathtub. That's another way of doing it. But I would say if you can, get out in nature and fully immerse yourself in nature, because you're honoring the fact that we are of the earth. We're not separate from it. And the Selkie is not separate from the earth. In fact, her beauty and her life is connected to the land. And to remove that aspect would be for her to live a half life. So I would say those 1 and 2.
Yeah. Thank you, absolutely, and to be with the sea. And also, I was going to ask you about, so the Selkie stories is quite I'm quite interested in this. The Selkie stories often have these love relationships. How is the Selkie in love? Obviously, the stories are not great, often with great endings. Sometimes they are, but this is how the Selkie in love. How does that work? That's a very random question.
How is the Selkie in love? How does that work? Well, we explored in the myth the looking outside yourself for aspects that are within. If you're fully integrating, you need to have love for yourself. Granted, that is easier said than done, working on that. And also realizing that your love of self is connected to the land and those around you. I know that's kind of going into the macrocosmic, but acknowledging that you can't compartmentalize it. Starting with yourself, fully loving yourself as you are, and realizing that there is great courage in being yourself, unapologetically yourself, and there's beauty in that.
Thank you. That's beautiful. That's powerful. I love that. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. I 199.000% agree with that. So I think that's one of the first most amazing journeys of any spiritual path, but of the Selkie, to accept and to love and to nurture yourself, as wild and unconventional as that may be sometimes. And it's not really encouraged, is it? I think there's a whole fairy tale romance that goes on in the media that they keep creating and destroying, which makes people feel very confused about how they should be. And I think with this, it's like throw all that aside and being very brave to walk your own path and to accept yourself for who you are and to love yourself. And then, as we saw in some of the Selkie myths, when there is acceptance and love within themselves, and the other person respects and doesn't try to tame or change the Selkie, things work out beautifully.
Hollywood has a tendency, Western culture has a tendency of glamorizing the male needs to save the woman needs to be the damsel in distress. Also, when you marry, you're supposedly supposed to be finding your other half in another person. I've learned, for me, that over the years, that a relationship is a co-creation. You are fully yourself. The person that you're coming together is fully yourself. You have your own stuff, they have their own stuff. And it's almost like a Venn diagram. You're an individual, they're an individual, and you meet in the middle. It's a co-creation. You're bringing to the table your stuff, and whoever you're with brings their stuff to the table, and you're coming together. And acknowledging that you are individuals in and of yourself. It's just a co-creation coming forward, bringing your best selves, and sometimes the best selves, stuff's triggered, and being able to acknowledge that the person is a messy, complicated, imperfect individual, and that I would have to say, I think it was Sam Keen who said, and I'm paraphrasing, true love is being able to see another person perfectly. Perfect self perfectly. So you're being perfectly imperfect. And
Perfect. Perfect. Sounds good to me. Sounds really good to me. Yeah, it's interesting. I was just thinking, it's not really Selkie-like, but what we were saying about the Hollywood or films or whatever, and TV shows that had it like, yeah, it would be then it goes through cycles of being the man said the woman, women act like this, men act like this, and then they kind of destroy that. Like I've seen especially a lot of children's films recently where it's almost saying love doesn't exist and women don't need men, and I think that's equally as unhealthy as saying that we need to be rescued by them. It seems to have been caught in some kind of polar opposites, like certain films and cartoons I've seen come out which are teaching kids you don't need love, you just don't need to, that, you can't trust men, and it's just like, wow, that's really not healthy either. As you say, there's this, we're constantly projected and, you know, barricaded with these images of what we should be, and it's always confusing because that's how they make money out of you and keep you feeling confused, rather than knowing your true self and having a very healthy co-creative relationship with someone and trying to be the best you can and help them be the best they can. But yeah, sorry.
Relationships too. It's not just with a significant other. It can be with your mother. It can be with your father. It can be with your brother. It can be with friends. Relationship, it encompasses everything, everyone and everything, and the land too.
Yes, very much.
That we're all connected. That's the big lesson right there. And also the we were talking about women don't need love. That shift over to the other spectrum from we need love. What we discussed in the last video was the whole concept of the ocean and the ebb and the flow and the pulling and the and coming back and forth. Love walks that boundary between the two. You give and you take, and that's the lesson of the Selkie right there. Knowing what is a healthy give and what is a healthy take, and that is a dance. We have in our society, I'm going to go from my nursing speaker, within our own internal environment, we have homeostatic set point, but we also have to understand that within our own internal environment, each day, that balance is different. It is not, we're not static. There's always some change, and also as we grow older, the threshold points for what will make us ill and what keeps us healthy changes. So finding that balance, it's a dance, it's a internal rhythm that changes. So the same with the sea, the same with our relationship with this mythological being.
I like it. Liminal, in between. I like that. And I think this is a problem when you try to make things, this is how it is, you will now be married and have children, you will now do this, and it'll be like this forever, yes? It's like, no, you know, and as you say, it's a dance between all people and the land, and as you say, that's, I think people are hopefully relearning that and programming themselves from what we've been kind of convinced of for quite a long while, and the land and the world and we to heal fully need to learn this dance. Thank you. So more Selkie questions for the seeker of Selkie wisdom. So you go to the sea and you work on this integration. I just wonder if you're going to be, here's me putting things on you, if you're going to be starting up anything to support people, to help them, or to work with them, or writing anything about this, because I always feel like, you know, it's kind of starting off and then you kind of think, well, what next? What's the next step? Is this something you're thinking of working more, or having a group or something in the future? Cheeky, mischievous Laura.
Yeah, which I can understand because I threw the Song of the Sea. I'm like, yes, we know what the name of this. Yeah, I see you whistling. Like, I have no idea what to talk about. Someone has broached the subject with me in an email, and I have not put anything in stone, but if more people are interested or would like to find out more or want to keep pinging at me to get this going, they can email me, or those who I see in everyday life who are watching this video perhaps can also speak with me about it, but I do not have anything set in stone. I'm starting to have what they refer to as the dream time, like pushes, and kind of like, it might be a good idea if case in point, the question that you just asked.
Yeah, it would be good. It would be good because it's really lovely. It's nice. I think it's always good to have starting points for people, but I think it's lovely to have that continual or just something else in place for people. But I know you've got a lot on your plate, so I don't want to push you too much, but just a little bit. But So yeah, I just feel like this is sort of people could then maybe even a space online could share their meditations or their ideas or something, because I feel like it'd be nice to share with others, because it is something that not everybody is going to know much about, even the pagan or witchy community. There may not be that many people that are working with Selkies, and it would be nice maybe to have a space where you can go and say, well, I went to the sea and I meditated and this is what I experienced, or that kind of thing. And maybe we could even share a meditation at some point as well. But I think it would be nice to sort of see how people are working, and if you guys at home want to ask any questions or share, we may do a question and answers video if you're interested in asking any more questions or sharing. But if you got, and I know there's loads of things to talk about, but is there anything else you would like people to know about integrating the Selkie self, or first steps towards it? I know we talked about going to the sea, but maybe sort of more in a day-to-day life. It's fine, isn't it? I think sometimes meditating and going to the sea, and then you come back to your work or your relationship or your bank manager, and you like the Selkie self sometimes might go out the window, and it's hard to, and it takes time, doesn't it, to be able to bring that into your day life.
I do know for me what's worked for me in the past. Water magic.
Cool.
One thing that I've done is I use the a body of water as a mirror. First, what I would definitely say is the examples that are giving work for me, and people are make choices and will integrate these ideas in their own way. So it's not me saying you have to do this, but what worked for me was I would use specifically the sea as a mirror, and I would look in the mirror and I would just see what would come up for me and just feel what I needed to feel. And sometimes if I was thinking too much along the lines of more of a microcosmic, I would expand my vision and realize and see nature and what was around me and realize, wait a second, I'm connected to what's around me, and that integration of the give and the take. I would then take the water and wash my face, or I would take it and do like an aura cleanse, something that my herbal teacher, Annie McCleary of Wisdom of the Herb School, taught me, just taking the water and just going up and over. Um, Also, you can use a mirror too to do the same thing and have salt water in a vial and wash your face that way if you are not able to get outdoors for any reason, physical disability, something along those lines. Let's see. Shadow work. This is a big one. Realizing that the human shadow has unexpressed talents, traits, etc. And those aren't necessarily undesirable. It's just stuff that we push down because society says, no, you can't show that. Like an example would be a woman, for instance. I know it's getting a lot better, but can't show her inner power because, gosh forbid, that would be her being too crazy or pushy, when in fact that's instilling leadership qualities and bringing forth more of herself. So that's an example of what would be shadow work for, because I know I'm still working with that myself, even though I was raised in a family that had very strong women, my grandmother being one. Um, it's one thing to have that background and be raised with that elder wisdom, at the same time living in a society that pushes down or tries to mold you in a certain way, learning lessons associated with that. So shadow work is basically what it is it's a friction point. It has this fire aspect that illuminates that which you want to hide in the dark. So there's a sacred aspect to it. Also with shadow work too, there's different levels of it, and if you find stuff that's coming up that's hard to handle, I would say seek the listening ear of a friend or even a counselor if there's stuff that you're having trouble integrating and need to bring out and discuss, because there's one you can, for instance, bring up go into meditation and find a particular trait that you want to work with and actually converse with it, feel what you need to feel from it. But there are sometimes times when that stuff can be overwhelming. So listening to a friend, having someone nearby, a counselor, that's a good idea. But also being aware that light and shadow, we are all connected with that. So that's an example of we have water magic, mirror magic, and shadow work. Immersing yourself in nature, you work with animals especially. And that comes in whatever shape and size works for you. So, but basically,
Yeah, that's quite a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot of places to start. That's brilliant, I think. And I love the idea of water magic. And you know, if you can get to the sea, even collecting items, and maybe making a little area in your house that's your Selkie space where you can do these meditations. And I think it's, as you said, a give and a take. So maybe go to a beach place and clear up the litter. Take a bag with you, clear up the litter. I always do that because it makes me very annoyed when I go to places of beauty and see litter everywhere. So and then maybe give and take, clear up litter, maybe find some of your shells or some sea objects, bring them back to you, maybe create your Selkie space at home, which can be your focus for that. That's a nice way, as well as the magic and everything like that. That's a gorgeous place to start.
yeah. There is one thing that I do carry with me whenever I'm going on extensive hiking trips or something like that. I'm going to be getting up to show. But, for instance, this is my medicine bag.
Oh, look, that's gorgeous. Oh, how beautiful.
This is my own personal thing where I keep stuff that's important for me that's associated with my work with the Selkies.
Beautiful. Thank you for showing that. Well, beautiful. So that's what you take with you on your hikes when you go to the beach. If you find anything that seems magical, you can bring it with you.
And does that work for everyone? No, but that's something that was given to me as a gift, actually, after my car accident. And I've used ever since. Another way that I carry the Selkie with me, this is a personal thing. I have a seal tattoo on between my shoulder blades. So it's right there with the heart chakra. And that's another thing, too, with the integration of the Selkie as well. Opening to the heart work. Heart work is initiation. It is your way of being able to work with the challenges life throws at you and that tension point of knowing what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and just walking through the fire no matter what is thrown at you. Granted, it's easier said than done, but being open no matter what and surrendering to the fact that we are all human, we are imperfect, we are who we are, and that we each have something to give. That is something I'm still working on and something I still have a hard time with. And because I know friends who'd be watching this would be going, yeah, we know.
I'm saying nothing. But yeah, no, it's good. But it's good. The vulnerability to know that is power. You know, a lot of people would say, I'm fine, I'm cool. It's like, you know, it's much more powerful to open up the heart and to have that vulnerability to work through it. That's where the real power lies. So I like this. We've got lots of spaces, lots of areas for people to start their journey with, or to continue their journey with the Selkie integration. And I think, you know, if anyone can get to the sea, or if you can't, then you say make a saltwater bath, or maybe get a friend who maybe lives by you to collect some salt water for you, or some shells. So we've kind of got the maybe. You could create a little ceremony which it could be as simple as or complicated as you like, really, couldn't it? To go to the sea and to open up and to create your own path, to sort of say that you're now going to be working with this energy and reclaiming your wild Selkie self. People could go to the sea, or they have a nice salt bath. And I think a ceremony can just be whatever you want it to be. It could be the most simple, heartfelt thing, or as complex and pre-written as you want it to be. So that could be a step, couldn't people? Could kind of go to a place of salt water or a stream or whatever and do something for themselves, make that commitment, whatever that is. Maybe it's to start trying really, really hard to love yourself, or trying to work on something. That could be a good point to start, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a good place.
Yeah. And we could do some magic and some water magic, some scrying, and then the shadow work. Again, you say there's loads, and also it will be maybe in the future there'll be more things you'll be doing in the future that will be there. But yeah, there's loads of places to start that work for people. I think, as you say, just being by the ocean or as much as possible, nature is good. I know the next video we're going to be doing is all about the microcosm, taking the Selkie work out into the wider world. But before we kind of close down with this one, is there anything else you really feel that you would love to share with people about this process, this integration of the Selkie?
Be gentle with yourself, because this is a lifelong journey. It's okay to ask for help from friends, family, and if it comes down to needing a counselor, there's nothing wrong with that. And 4, know thyself and realize, again, that's something that the lifelong journey, and while your connections with others help shape that, your connections with the land help shape that, being grounded and realize that it's okay to express your vulnerable side. Granted, there are times when holding back, and I don't want to say holding back, but retracting, and another part of yourself needs to come through. That's okay as well, but give and take. Don't put yourself in walking a path that's not yours. Don't be afraid to be yourself. And I'm 35 years old, and I'm still learning that. So
yeah, I think it's a lifelong journey, and I always feel like when you think you've gone through one major transformation shift, you go, oh, cool, I've done it now, and then you go, oh, not again. Something else will hit you, and you realise you're not there yet. But it's also fun as well, isn't it? I mean, we talk a lot about the deep stuff, but it allows you to, being free allows you to truly be free and to truly have fun and laugh like a child and be playful as well, because the seals and the Selkie energy is very playful as well. So I think to truly go through all of the crap, as it were, can allow you to truly be happy as well and to be absolutely free. So yeah, there's fun sides too, isn't there?
yeah,
you're like, yeah, there's no fun sides, it's all serious.
It's all serious, really. Freedom is a journey, and it's not something that comes overnight.
But there is fun sides. I'll be this. It's not always work. But yeah. But I love totally exactly what you said. Is be gentle. I think that's the thing we're very hard at. Most people I know, sensitive, psychic, intuitive, powerful, males and females. The biggest job really is to just be gentle and accept yourself and accept whatever's coming up. And we're always very gentle usually with each other, but I think we all find it very, very hard to reflect that gentleness on ourselves and that nurture on ourselves.
Yeah, being a caregiver, and I'm very good with helping others, but when it comes to myself and being gentle on myself, I will be the first one to admit, oh, I am very hard on myself, and it's a constant reminder, and I'm glad I'm aware of that and not hiding that as part of my shadow, but I'm aware of the fact that I need to, it's self-care is okay, because how can you care for others if you're not caring for yourself? But also realizing you can get stuck within that mode. So for instance, I know some people, they remain single, for instance, and that's a choice of theirs. But I know some will happen is they're like, I need to work on myself. I need to work on myself. I need to work on myself. Well, there is such thing as working on yourself too much, and also realizing that sometimes your connections with others, you learn a lot about yourself that way as well.
Yeah, definitely. That's 150%. So, yeah, sometimes staring at the navel too long just gives you a neck ache. So, yeah, thank you so much. Really love this, and there's a lot of subjects brought up here, and it's really going to touch people's different triggers and different thoughts about things. I know I said last time, but is there a space they can contact you on your blog, or I know you got your blog there, but is there a space people can contact you and share their experiences with you?
Well, at the bottom of my screen, under my name, there's the address for my blog, and also through my blog, you'll find in the author information to the right of the screen, you'll find my email address, but I have no problem repeating it here. It's Alicia, ALICIA .m.lavoie, LAV at gmail.com.
Awesome. So if you want to poke Alicia about doing some Selkie courses, then that's how to get hold of her. Yeah, so brilliant. So starting points. I know we only have sort of shortish videos. They're just starting points people how to start this integration process and ideas for how to work with it. But as we know, we've mentioned loads already, it's a lifelong journey. But the next video we're going to be doing is all about taking it out, isn't it? And how to work with other people. So that's the next step.
Yes.
Brilliant. I look forward to that. And again, if you have any questions, you guys at home, if you have any questions or things you want to ask and you want to maybe have them featured in the video, don't forget you can contact us, message us, or put it in the comments below the video. Any questions you have, and then we'll put them together for potentially a fourth video of Q&A. So, you know, don't be shy, just ask us and we'll feature that in a following video. But thank you so much for sharing your story and your wisdom and your ideas with us today, and I look forward to our final video.
I had a great time today, and I look forward to the next video.
Thank you very, very much. Take care, lovely.
Bye.